I'm like, let me make sure this is okay. So you guys, is this public? Oh God, just go back. Good afternoon. Okay, so I wanted to do a lunch break live today. So let's go ahead and get right into it. I don't want to waste your time because I know a lot of people's lunch breaks are not that long. Let me go ahead and start the intro.
Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it.
Cause I'm a boss. I haven't done anything for you to be proud of.
Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Okay, so we're going to dive right into this. So today, I'm going to be talking about the video. So someone sent me this video and I wanted to give my perspective, my opinion on this conversation. So the title of this video is called Why Black Women Can't Compete with Passport Bros. And I'm going to be giving my reaction, my breakdown, and my opinion. Now, the original creator's name, her channel is Crimson Cure here on YouTube. Now, I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you guys. I don't agree with everything that she says, mainly because some of her content seems tone deaf to me, because when you look at the numbers, they don't add up to her promotions. Okay, that's just me being honest with you. I think her perspective was great maybe a few decades ago, but as of today, it does not align with the numbers that I'm seeing. 75% of the Black community, that includes both male and female, are single. So marriage in the Black community is not priority. Family in the Black community is not priority. And for me, it's not about blame. It's not even about shame. It's just culturally speaking, it's not our foundation. So to put the blame on women, I don't feel like that's fair. We don't gatekeep marriage. We gatekeep sex. We gatekeep children. We gatekeep culture, right? But at the end of the day, men also have to uphold these traditional values as well, and they don't. So it's not, oh, we should put the blame on this person. We should put the blame on that person. It's not, a community takes unity. And if you don't have unity, which starts with family, You don't have anything. And it's not even just the typical relationships that we see in, you know, the man and the woman, but what about the auntie? You know, what about the cousin? What about the grandfather? What about the grandmother? What about the uncle? Nobody gets along anymore. We barely gather anymore. So if family is not the structure, how can we even speak on marriage? It just does not make sense to me. So I'm going to be giving my opinion. I think family is important. I think it's super important because that's what makes you strong. That is where you get your strength, the family structure. And if you don't have that, if you don't have a village backing you, you are very weak. And as a Black community as a whole, doesn't matter, male, female, adult, children, elder, young person, we are weak because we don't have community, we don't have unity, we don't have a village. To blame one person just does not make sense to me because it takes a group effort, and we don't have that. There are too many people within the community that are unhealed, broken. They are dealing with mental health issues that are not addressed because addressing mental illness within the Black community is taboo. Having sex conversations with our children is taboo. The important things that keep a community strong are things that we as Black people tend to avoid. We have this avoidance type of detachment. If it's not about me, if it doesn't benefit me, it's not my problem. When you look at other communities, that's not the case. They care. The Jews care. Whether you want to acknowledge them as the white Jews, the false Jews, whatever, their community cares. Their community upholds their values. I've seen the Indian community on TikTok. That community upholds their values. So it's weird how when it comes to Black people, oh, we need to blame women, or we even need to blame men. It takes a group effort. It really does. Because I see the toxicity. I tell y'all all the time, if you want to hold a person accountable for the dysfunction that you experienced in your household, I said you need to go to your mother in private. Then you need to go to your father in private. And then you need to come back and ask yourself, did they take accountability or did they get defensive? Did they go off on this tangent about how much they sacrificed? Did they go off about how, oh, so you're calling me a bad parent, you're calling me a bad parent? Neither adult, male or female, is going to take any type of ownership or accountability for their failures. And as a whole, we're never going to get anywhere. And this is why I have detached myself. It's part of my healing journey, really, truly, from these conversations, these debates. I mean, they're not going anywhere. There's no progress. There's no real solutions. So I just don't see the purpose in having these debates anymore. You either going to do something about it, or you just going to keep talking about how we need to do something about it. We should be doing at this point. The conversation has been going on for how long now? We just wasting time. And then let me keep it 1,000% real with you. There's so much chaos in the world right now. The financial industry, it's collapsing. The transportation industry, collapsing. The educational system and industry is collapsing. The school system, the higher educational system is collapsing. The medical industry is collapsing. And we still talking about this shit. It don't make sense to me. Our community is weak. How are we preparing our people for all of these collapses? Because what's about to happen is there's going to be a bunch of chaos. A lot of people are going to lose their lives because we did not prepare, because we're online having these debates about passport bros not being able, or Black women can't compete with passport bros. Girl, The world is about to collapse, and we still having these stupid low vibrational conversations about base, and it's an ego debate. Who can outdo the next person? The world is in total chaos, but we more concerned about this. It does not make sense to me. Our children, their future, where is it? Do they have one? Because when I look out into the world today, I look at these different industries, they're about to collapse. But we stuck on this though. This is more important to us because it's egotistical. We are an egotistical driven community, and this is why I had to detach. I love Black people. I really do. But everything we do, we tend to do it out of ego, not out of love, not out of tradition, not out of culture, just pure ego. Whatever makes us feel comfortable, whatever will mask that hurt that we may have, whatever feeds those addictions, that instant gratification, we'll take it. We don't really love each other though. How can we say we do? How? So Black femicide is real. And that's an issue within itself. And I'm not really including that in this, but you kind of have to, because it's a part of our community. It's a huge part of our community. It's affecting our children. They're seeing the violence. They're losing mothers, sisters, cousins, aunties, sisters, daughters. So we have to make that and include that in this conversation as well, because it's a huge chunk of the issues within our community. So I'm going to give my opinion on this. I've been avoiding this type of content because I needed a break. Like I don't see the progress. I don't. And to be honest, this conversation is now for me, it's transitioning into the healed versus the unhealed. That's what it's transitioning into. The wicked and the ones with integrity. That's what it's transitioning into. And that's what this conversation is going to be about. The unhealed versus the healed. What side are you going to be on? Because you're about to get left behind. Because the healed or the healing, the people that are really truly doing the work on themselves, they're going to find their happiness. They're going to find their peace. They're going to be able to take care of their family. They're going to make sure that their kids are doing well in life. They're going to make sure they're good. But as a community, I wouldn't rely on it, because there's too many unhealed individuals walking around projecting their trauma, their insecurities, their doubt, their fear-mongering you into believing certain things, and it's keeping you stuck, the community stuck. It doesn't have any growth. You're not able to reach any real milestones while being attached to the community, because a lot of things is just done out of ego. People come on here to have these discussions for money. Let's be real, just to put money in their bank account, and they're cool with that. They don't care about the long-term effects. So let's get into it. Thank you. Is it Themis? I'm pretty sure I saw you in the chat box. Thank you, Themis, for the super chat. I must have missed it. I'm sorry if I didn't catch it, but let me continue. Let me continue. Or no, let me show my screen. So I'm going to, you guys, but we as a collective, we got to move on from these conversations, because they not really serving us no more. Not, and I'm not talking about Black femicide. We got to keep talking about that. I'm talking about the passport bros. Just go do what you need to do for yourself and stop coming online trauma bonding about it and wanting a reaction out of people. No one gives a fuck. And I feel like I have to say it like that. Like, go live your life, go be happy, and stop coming online trying to seek validation from people. We don't care. Gosh, we don't care. Go live your life and be happy. You're so concerned about trying to one up somebody, trying to validate what you doing, what you got. We don't care. Like, if anything, a person that is truly in a healthy place, we're happy for you. We want to see you happy. But this back and forth, like, I just don't see the purpose in it. Like, go do what you need to do for yourself that's going to bring you peace and happiness to your life. It's that simple. But this going back and forth, it's like, are y'all not tired? It's like y'all, and that's the bitterness that I see in the Black family. Don't know how to let it go and move on. If it ain't working, why keep doing it? If you're not happy, why keep talking about it? If it's not, go do something about it. But you know, this is the reason why you won't go do something about it, is because you know it actually requires you to put in real work. Like, work on your finances, save some money, actually become a better person, do better for yourself, be better for yourself, think better for yourself. You have to develop a different mindset and mentality, but you don't want to do that because it actually requires you to get off your ass, log out of social media, get off the internet, and actually go be these things that you threaten people online that you're being or you're doing, when you know you're not doing it. You're not. You just like the attention that comes with saying that this is what you're doing or this is what I'm going to do. Oh, if you're doing it, then do it. I'm tired of all this talking. Y'all not done? Y'all been talking for years. And that's the thing. It's like Black people, we keep talking in circles. It's the same conversation. It's 2023. It's a new year. We're not about to have the same conversations we was having last year. Where's the growth? I see clips, articles. I read books. It's the same thing. There hasn't been change for decades. And we gonna keep going at this for another decade? That's crazy. Our children actually deserve a real chance. They deserve a real future. They don't deserve to keep repeating the same cycles we repeated, or we started to repeat, or our grandmothers repeated, or our great-grandmothers repeated. Like, they actually deserve a real shot at a new cycle, at something new. So that means that requires us to do something different. But you got to do it, though. You can't keep talking about it. And that's all we'll do is talk about it. Then there'll be a recording, your kid, one of my kids, whatever the case may be, and they like, dang, they was having the same conversations we having right now. That should not be. That should not be. We shouldn't be having the same old conversations. There should be some growth. But I don't see how we'll ever reach that if we keep talking in circles. We talk in circles and talk in circles and talk in circles. No solution, no progress, no nothing. And then we passing down the same BS to our children. And then they got to get put in that cycle, the same cycle that we were put in, our parents were put in, our grandparents were put in, and then it's just repeated again. So somebody got to break it. And it starts with you. It starts with you. We're not going to get nowhere. Your kids not going to get nowhere. So now I'm going to start addressing these conversations, and it's really this simple. The healed, the healing versus the unhealed. It ain't about gender no more. Unless we are talking about Black femicide, it's not about gender no more. Because if you are a woman and you're going through the process of changing, you're not going to entertain people that are not doing what you need them to do for yourself. You're not. You're going to drop them. You're going to leave them where they are. And that may mean you blocking family, not talking to them because they're toxic. It is what it is. You're not going to keep lingering around. You're not going to keep subjecting your children to that toxicity and dysfunction because you don't want them to repeat the cycle. You're trying to break it. So you're not going to be around them like that. You're not going to entertain people like that. You don't want those people around you. You really don't. And I'm very fed up. I don't understand how Black people can keep coming on here having these conversations. I'm like, are y'all not bored? It's not even entertaining anymore. It's not. It you know what it's turned into? Trauma bonding. And you know what? I could take 1,000% accountability and say, when it came to some of my content, and this is where I, as a content creator, I'm about to make the necessary changes within myself. I created some content on my platform that was trauma bonded. I'm not doing that no more moving forward. We're not here to trauma bond. We're here to make improvement. Now, listen, I can be worldly and spiritual at the same time. Meaning I know how to be grounded. I know that I have to be present in the moment, right? So I can entertain some mess. I can. But if the purpose isn't to grow, if the purpose isn't to be better and become better, count me out. I don't want to talk about it. Ain't nothing to talk about. It's just another distraction to keep you from doing what you need to do for yourself. It's just another distraction. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So again, you guys, I'm going to navigate this live today with the utmost respect for the individuals in this video. I'm not creating this live for hate. Please don't send any hate to this woman or any of the people in this video. We are having an adult conversation with emotional intelligence. We're going to respect the other person's opinion and keep it at that. We don't have to shade. We don't have to shame. We don't have to throw insults. That's not why I'm making this live. So try to be respectful. It's really time for Black people to do better, be better, and elevate. So if you feel like this video may trigger you, go ahead and log out, sis. You just not there yet. One day, though, you will be there. You'll be able to listen. You may shake your head. You may not agree. But you're not going to be triggered to the point where you get so offended that you got to be defensive to a point where you're impulsively insulting someone. It's time to get emotionally stable, because I'm telling you, the chaos outside gonna have you depressed, suicidal. You're going to have anxiety. It's time for you to get your emotions in check, because what's happening outside is going to drive you crazy. So you got to find the balance, and it starts with yourself. You got to get in control of your emotions. It starts with yourself. Otherwise, I don't know about you guys, but all up and down my timeline, all I see are deaths. That's all I see. People just dropping like flies. So if you're not emotionally stable within yourself, and you're on social media, or there's real life situations happening around you, your emotions are going to be all over the place. You're going to be so emotionally stable. You're just going to be all over the place, and you don't need to be in that. You need to rise above that, because there's a lot that we're going to be hit with this year, and you gotta know how to handle it. So if you can't handle it right now, I believe in you enough that eventually you will be able to handle it. Okay, let's continue. Let's play this video.
What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Rome back with another video. Before we get started, if you're new to the platform, please subscribe. OGs, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure y'all hitting that bell notification, that way y'all know what I'm uploading, and hit the like button, because it helps with the algorithm. It helps me reach a broader audience. Also, if you like the music that you hear, the DistroKid link is in the description. Support your boy, support the music. We are almost at 20K, just hit 19,000 the other night. All right, let's get it. Okay, so the Crimson Cure. Y'all know I love Crimson Cure. Shout out to Crimson Cure, bro. Love her content. Please subscribe to her channel. She is going to discuss why women particularly black women, cannot compete with passport bros. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it.
So, what we talking about? Y'all hyenas out here that's getting mad at the passport bros. You can't compete with them. We're starting to see an uptick of black women wanting to compete now with passport bros. And we can get our passports too, and we can get. I got a real quick clip to share with y'all, and then we're gonna come back and cook. So let me go ahead. Let me share my screen, and here we go.
All these women saying they can get their passports too. I don't think they realize how crazy foreign men are. Like, you will get your head popped off if you come at your husband sideways. So if you're asking, like, can you get ran through? Sure, that's easy. The shit you do here in the States and how horribly you treat men, that won't fly overseas. So good luck with that.
First of all, shout out to Gail Nelson for that, yo. For real. She's the reason why I kind of came across this and wanted to react to this. So shout out to Gail Nelson. Let's keep it moving. Subscribe to her channel as well.
So I'm gonna stop sharing that. And she's absolutely right. See, it's not so much that the foreign men are crazy. It's just that even foreign men here in America, who live here in America, they have a value system, they have a culture, okay? And black women aren't gonna disrupt it. Now, the reason why that lady on the clip is saying what she's saying, which I agree with 100%, you're going to get your head popped off, the head poppers, okay? These men going to be number one head poppers around here dealing with you, okay? This is why the vast majority of black women cannot compete with the passport bros, and it's stupid to even say so because nobody actually is checking for, coming for, looking for, trying to marry, trying to scoop up black women in mass to be their wives and to integrate them into their culture and in their community.
Now, I warned you guys that you were going to be triggered. I warned you. I said, you're going to be triggered. Okay? It don't get better. So if you took this sample and you're like, oh my God, this is too much. I can't do it. I can't. Go ahead and log out, sis. It's okay. Come back later. But I wanted to say this. I don't know why. To be fair, because I saw this comment a lot under this video. I saw a lot of men saying it's Western women. It's not just black women. Okay, it's Western women. It's Western women. So to be fair, but she's zeroing in on just black women. Okay. Now, this is my thing. When you don't know how to treat people, it doesn't matter if it's a man or not. If you don't have this underlying respect for a man, it doesn't matter what race, he's not going to respect you. People are not going to respect you. So my thing is, her angle really comes from the approach of oppression. Women globally are oppressed. So to compare an American woman or a Western woman to women outside the US and other cultures, a lot of them don't have that many options. They don't have that many choices. They don't have that many opportunities. Some of them don't even have women's rights still to this day. So it's weird that she has this mindset, and it's internalized misogyny simply being because she thinks that getting your head knocked off is acceptable. And I don't agree with that. So I think if you are respecting yourself and you extend that respect to other people, I don't see how you would not be able to seek outside of the black community. The issue with black women not being chosen isn't because we're not wanting to be, or we're not being seen as an option to be chosen. We're really not putting ourselves out there to be seen. because we have dedicated a lot of our time, resources, beauty, youth on trying to get a group of men that are not interested in marriage. They're not interested in marriage. They're not even interested in family. They're not. And so it's weird that this is her approach when it comes to this conversation. First of all, it's not a competition to have happiness. It's not a competition for a Black man to have happiness, and it's not a competition for a Black woman to have happiness. Unhealed people who do things out of revenge, spitefulness, and bitterness, they see this as an opportunity to compete, which is weird. Because honestly, people that are actually out here living their lives in the way that they want, and they're getting and receiving the things that they want from it, we don't care about what you're doing. We don't care about what the next person is doing. We don't care about what the girl down the street is doing. We actually have our happiness within ourselves. So if Black women are actually living their lives in the way that they choose, that they see fit, you're getting what you want out of it, right? This video just should not bother you. It should not. It should not bother you at all because you're getting what you want out of it. So I think it's weird that, hold on, it's not triggering. It says someone will not be able to see their own beauty. Like the culture did a number on Black women, their image. That too. I mean, Black men exploited our image through rap songs a lot of times. But we don't, again, when you only want to put accountability on one person and not hold everyone involved, because Black men played a huge part in exploiting their own women in the same way that white men did, let's be clear, because they tend to copy and follow in the footsteps of white men. You just want to put it on one person, but Black men also played a major role in our oppression as women. And it didn't just start after slavery. It started way before slavery. It started within how we as Black women have been forced and subjected to Western culture based off of the decision-making of Black men who sold us into slavery. Let's be clear. But it's our fault. It's our fault that we have adapted to these Western ways. It's our fault that we had to adapt to the Western culture. It's our fault that even before we were given the choice, our sexuality was exploited. It was violated. But it's our fault. Our men made that decision way before white men ever did. And the Black man didn't care. So if Black men are upset about the Western woman, the Western Black woman, they played a major role in why we are the way that we are. And a lot of us are trauma responding to the conditions that we have gone through. So to see them mock, to see them escape and run and get their passports is truly telling about how they will literally run from their problems, not fix, not correct, not actually try to go in and do something that could change or improve the community. You know what they doing? They getting on a boat, going across sea to find something better in another man's culture because they ruined their own culture, sold out their own culture, sold out their own people for money, greed, materialism. And we see that every day. We see it in the rappers. We even see it in the athletes. We see it in the Black leaders. So it's interesting how this is our fault, as if men have not been leading us this entire time because we have been oppressed this entire time by men. But it's our fault. We were subjected, we were forced to adapt to this Western culture. And if men are upset about how their women are behaving, you got to take some ownership regarding that. I mean, we didn't come here willingly. It's a woman's job to protect a man emotionally, and it's a man's job to protect a woman physically. How we end up here. This is not even our land. This is not our culture. We were forced to adapt to a new culture. We were forced to forget who we are. We were forced to forget where we came from. So how is this our fault? But of course, the men, they don't want to take accountability. They want to get on a boat and escape the damage that they have created, escape the damage that they have caused. And this is my thing. This is why I'm really not bothered by none of this stuff. Do you really think God will favor you? Seriously, it's a real question. Because I be seeing people do the fear-mongering stuff. Like, I saw this video of elites creating bonkers. You can't escape fate. You just can't. You actually got to correct. You can't escape it, though. You can't escape death. You can't escape what's meant to be. So these men can leave and go far, visit all types of nations. But one thing that I do know is life has an interesting way of catching up to you. And this is why it's just best for you to do the work now, because I would hate for you to have to deal with it in old age, which typically that's where the guilt starts to set in. So it's interesting. You can't run from what you've done. You can't run from reaping what you sow. You can't run from karma. It doesn't matter where you go. So she's speaking to a very small group of Black men, because I do feel like there are good Black men out here. I do. But it's very far in between. You can't cause corruption and then think you're going to be favored. Like, that's insane. You can't go out here doing things to people and think you're going to get away with it.
All right, so y'all heard that, and I agree with Crimson Cure 100% on that. That's why I'm really surprised that you're even seeing an uptick in this. But Crimson Cure is going to explain why, and this is some stuff that I've already explained myself. Why? Check this out.
And one of the main reasons why that is so is because the world has actually seen what Black women are about via social media. I don't think y'all understand how far social media travels.
You stupid.
Y'all know it's worldwide, right?
Yep.
Y'all understand, and when stuff get on TikTok, when stuff get on Twitter, when stuff get on Instagram, when stuff get on Facebook, when stuff get on YouTube, y'all do understand that the whole work that is distributed, people, they log on, and the image of Black women is
pathetic. Bruh.
The image of Black women, the appearance value of Black women is horrendous. And y'all know that. You know that the image and the appearance value.
She has a very old mindset where y'all know how it was back in the day where Black people had it hard. We all had to be our best. We all had to perform our best. We all had to be Black excellence, because when we did enter white spaces, right, we represented one another. But we're moving to a more individual type of culture. So there's not that many people out here that are stereotyping or judging people based off of a group. People are now judging you based off of how you show up for yourself. That's an outdated mindset. Very, very outdated. Very, very outdated. So especially when it comes to millennials, Gen Z, and stuff like that, that's the boomer mentality is, oh, okay, we all gonna judge them the same because they're Black. People are not really doing that anymore, because the people that are taking the leadership roles now are millennials, not boomers. So I think it's just an outdated way of thinking. You see this a lot within the modest, purity, Christian, religious woman culture. And it's just like, a lot of people are becoming more spiritual these days, and because of that, it's like it's more freedom to be and to think and to be an individual. So I don't really 100% agree with that. Even the new Christians, the younger Christians and things like that, they have their religious values and things like that, but they don't tend to judge or make assumptions about people like the old generation. And that's just me being honest, y'all. And so we can say the same thing for Black men on TikTok. Like, there are a lot of white women on there, preferences on there every day, fighting for their life about how a Black man abandoned her child, how he hasn't been there, he hasn't been around. So it's like other cultures are seeing that as well. And this is the thing, her mindset is very one-sided, and it's really sad because the dysfunction, like I said, it's a community issue. The dysfunction is not gender-based. The dysfunction in the community is on both sides. So if you are walking around and you not taking care of business, and listen, I've seen it. I've seen Black women get pregnant for a third or fourth time by a guy that they know is not doing enough for them, or didn't do enough for the first child when she got pregnant the first time. So I definitely get where she's coming from, right? That there are some Black women out here that are carrying themselves in ways that are self-destructive. But to put that on all of us, it's just not fair. And a lot of people are not doing that anymore. So if she gets on TikTok, she should understand that. The Black community has been on life support, Bunny, for decades. So it's like I said, it's a community issue. It takes community effort for it to be damaged in the way that it is. And it is what it is. But to put it on women and women only, these men are just as dysfunctional. Impregnating women, not taking care of them, going outside of the community and impregnating women, not taking care of them. I think it's 80% of Black men abandon the kids that they have with the women outside of Black women. 80%, I think it's 83% to be exact. And that's what I'm saying. When it comes to her perspective, there's a lot of tone deaf behind her opinions. It does not align with the numbers that are out here that we are reading. Let's continue.
Of the thotting, the hoeing, the promiscuity, the misandry is one of the biggest ones. These other men from any other culture, whether you're going Asian, whether you're going European, whether you're going wherever you're trying to go, Polynesian, wherever, Mexican, wherever you're trying to go, even African, wherever you're actually trying to go, these men have seen you and made a judgment call on the entire scope of American Black women. And they have surmised that we are all hoes, that we like getting ran through, that we listen to crazy music, that we think it's normal to have children out of wedlock. We think it's normal to not have men in our family. We think it's normal to not listen to men. We think it's normal to hate men. We think it's normal to talk down on, specifically on Black men, no matter what his relation is to us, whether he's our son, our brother, our uncle, our father, our...
You guys, my issue with her making these statements is almost as if she believes them. You know what's crazy is when I started my platform years ago and I started doing commentary, a lot of people stereotyped me, Black people. They assumed I had kids, don't have none. They assumed that I was loose, wasn't having sex. I was a virgin until I was 27 with this platform, and I started this platform at 19. They assumed that I didn't have a father. They made all of these assumptions about me, and it's crazy. Because just because people make assumptions about you doesn't mean that it's true. But she's stating these things as if they're facts. And then you have to wonder the projection that she has, right, in her mind when she sees Black women, right, are the same projections that could be used against her. This is why I say things like Black women have the ability to harm other Black women simply by how they think. her projections got her out here believing in the stereotypes that were created, which is crazy. I don't get that. So be careful, y'all. Like be careful, because that way of thinking is very, very harmful. It's very harmful. I don't think we should project stereotypes on other Black people. I think that's dangerous. That's what white supremacy does. So why would we copy what white supremacy does to us? That doesn't make sense. So that is crazy. But let's continue. I have fought every stereotype that is truly out here, honestly, as a Black woman, and it's weird that at the end of the day, with me fighting those stereotypes, they're still placed on me, regardless. It doesn't matter. So the same stereotypes that she's creating and placing on Black women are the very stereotypes that are placed on Black men. It's very weird.
My grandfather, the co-worker, the whoever he is, we find it to be acceptable in Black culture to talk crazy and talk greasy to and about Black men to their faces. We think it's acceptable to harm them physically when they don't do what we want them to do. We think it's acceptable to slander them. We think it's acceptable to talk crazy publicly about them, talk about their shortcomings, whether real or made up. And these other men actually see Black women as degenerates. They see Black women as disrespectful. They see Black women as disloyal. They see Black women as dishonorable. And they see that Black women are all of these things to the men that actually hold up their community that they're in.
You can't word what she said any better. See, and this is why I feel for Courtney Michelle, but you got to respect the life.
Again, this brother down here in the corner, this is trauma bonding for him. He feels heard when it comes to his experiences. He feels seen when it comes to his experiences. And he's trauma bonding with the men in his comment section and the men that are on his platform. I'm done with that, y'all. I am not doing this shit in 2023. It's a new year. You either are doing the work or you're not. And spiritually, I've been led to leave people behind because I can't remain stuck in a phase that I have outgrown. I can't. This man in the corner should be in therapy, working out his issues and experiences that he has gone through in his life. Because I'm not here to invalidate. I don't know what that man has gone through. I have no idea. But clearly, he has gone through some things to where he can agree with what she's saying. So he has had experiences with women that make him believe that everything she's saying is 100% true for all Black women, as if he has met all Black women. So that's a man that could never lead me, simply being he's wounded. How can a masculine, wounded man lead me? He can't. He can't. First of all, he can't even see clearly. He can't think clearly. He doesn't have a balanced perception. He thinks every Black woman that he has never met, by the way, is the same. He thinks every Western woman is the same. That is a man that does not have leadership qualities. So he couldn't lead me. I'm sorry. That's crazy. I need a man that is going to actually have foresight, that can actually look beyond his own or his past experiences. That is a man of true leadership. But if he can't look past his past experiences, he does not have foresight. He can't even see what's to come. And that's the issue with these conversations. We so focused on these past, like the men in our community is so focused on passport bros because of the hurt pain that they have experienced. They're not even seeing what's to come. Like a lot of the, I'm gonna be real with y'all. A lot of them gonna get over to whatever country they going to. They're not even gonna be able to get access to their money, or if they are able to get access to their money, because the US dollar has collapsed, they don't have no money. So, but we're gonna keep having these conversations because it's offering some type of improvement within our community. It's not even preparing us for what's really to come within the coming months. It's not helping us. Content creators placing their audience. There's absolutely no way she cannot see the other stuff. Right. And that's y'all. That's why when it comes to these conversations that are being narrated, I'm going back and forth. I see where Black men are coming from because I've seen it. I have brothers. We have conversations. We do. I met one of my brother's friends' girl. And when you a spiritual woman, you sit down with another woman, you guys are exchanging a vibration with each other. She was very insecure. Very, very, very insecure. And she felt very bothered by my presence. And it wasn't because she thought I was coming after her man or anything like that. But when you're a confident woman and you hold your head high and you're authentic, women are very uncomfortable around you. They tend to be fidgety. They tend to be like they can't look at you in the eye. It's like little things like that. Like they fear your presence a little bit, or your presence makes them uncomfortable because they're unsure of themselves. They don't know who they are, and they can see that you know who you are. And so it makes them very, 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 very uncomfortable. And so some issues that occurred during that space that we were sharing was, it was just based off of insecurities. She wanted to leave because she was insecure. He wanted to spend time with his friends. He wanted to spend time with people because it was the holiday, but because she was insecure, she wanted to leave. So listen, I get it. And she caused the scene, you guys, because she was insecure. She was uncomfortable. So I see what men are talking about. I see how they're upset about, Western women and things like that. But this is my thing. These men can complain all day and they can say, well, I'm going here and I'm going there. Please understand, the traditionalism that you are seeking is going to be required of you. So you feel Western women are not it. That's great. So you are seeking women outside of the Western culture because you are seeking out traditionalism. I get it. But understand that traditionalism that you're seeking is going to be sought in you as well. Meaning you need to be a provider. Let's talk about that for a sec. Let's take a break here for a sec because I came prepared. We're gonna bring on Mahogany Pink, which I love. I'm a supporter of her platform because she's keeping it real. So let me go ahead and pull up this video real quick because I need to show y'all what I'm talking about. Like, these men can preach all day that they don't want a Western woman. That's great. But are you a traditional man? Because these foreign women, they don't play about that. They're not going to play with you about that. They family, their father is not going to play with you about that. They're not going to play with you about that at all. So if you think you're going to get with this woman and you don't have to prove yourself to this woman's father, that you can take care of her, you can lead her and things like that, you're not going far.
Engaged. And the question came up, well, why is there not the reality?
Didn't know sociologists that have studied the decline and dysfunction of the Black American family are for the most part in agreement. The model of exclusive Black love, that is to say, a culture where Black people in America will only make themselves romantically available to other Black people in America, is unsustainable. Specifically, Black women's collective decision to make themselves exclusively available to Black men is unsustainable. Why? Well, short answer, there aren't enough marriageable hetero black men to meet the demand of marriageable hetero black women. Most experts name mass incarceration as the leading cause, but whatever you think the issue is, the fact remains that the community has a shortage of gainfully employed black men who can support a family and are looking to marry a black woman, short by about several million in fact, and this is causing a host of problems. In his book, The Racial Hierarchy, evolutionary psychologist C. Paul Grandison explains that when you have a sex ratio imbalance like the one that Black America has, specifically one that favors the men, the result is that the men become aggressively and deceptively hyper-competitive for short-term sexual relationships. They stop looking for love or marriage, and they're definitely not monogamous. Essentially, they try to build a harem for themselves. Because they have this power, they're able to set the terms of relationships, and naturally, they choose terms that are in their favor, ones that get them the most commitment from a woman while offering the least in return. This changes the behavior of the women looking for a committed partner, and they become much more sexually active earlier in the relationship in an effort to try to lock down a partner. Additionally, a woman may see a man who's already in a committed relationship and try to take that man for herself out of desperation. Grandison also goes on to say that these men who are spoiled with more options than they should have take a longer time to commit to their partners, express more dissatisfaction with their partners, are more likely to cheat on their partners, and more likely to abandon their partners. He says that he believes that there would be fewer divorces and fewer illegitimate children if the sex ratio imbalance wasn't so great because, well, the men would be more loyal. And in part because of that imbalance, we now have a culture that permits, maybe even encourages, black men to use their status as marriageable, i.e. a black man with a job who isn't in jail, as leverage for as many sexual partners as he can get. And if you try to quote-unquote compete for these men, you'll likely find yourself locked into extended periods of situationships, entanglements, and sneaky links as friends with benefits, or worse, permanent placeholder girlfriends, commonly known as wifeys. In other words, very little return on your investment. And yet, you are being pitched black love by black media and the conscious community like it's the answer to all of your problems.
Of a group of white girls who are sitting at their graduation engaged. And the question came up, well, why is there not the reality?
Didn't know. As a community, we've decided that come hell or high water, we are going to keep these black women on the hook, waiting and praying and competing for that good black man who will come into their lives and build a family, despite all evidence that this will happen for very few of you. Don't get me wrong, there are some very good black men out there. Hell, there are some even great men out there who are black, and there are some dusty black women, but numbers don't lie. Here's the math. You already outnumber black men, and for a bunch of reasons, more than half of them will never marry anyone. Of those that remain, almost a quarter of them will marry women who are not black. Of the men left, 73% cannot financially support a household alone, and you will have to work. And due to the high rates of infidelity, domestic violence, and financial instability, 42% of these marriages will ultimately fail. Less than a quarter of you who get married will be in marriages where your husband earns more money than you. Less than 8% of those of you who get married to black men will have the luxury of not having to work at all. In fact, most high-earning black men remain bachelors or marry out of their race. So for all of you ladies with hypergamous rich black girl fantasies, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not likely going to happen, particularly for the more richly melanated sisters and the sisters with the West African body types and the sisters with previous children. Your odds are much worse. But hey, if you believe that you're going to be in that small minority, the 13% of black women overall who are in hypergamous black marriages, and the even smaller percent who have the luxury of being able to stay. As a community, we've decided that come hell or high water, we are going to keep these black women.
You guys, black women, you're arguing over 13%. You're debating, you wasting your life, girl, over 13%. Let's be real about it. 13%. That's what you're fighting for. That don't make sense to me. 13%. 13. It's time for you to open up your options. And this is why this passport bro thing, it's not a competition. It's not. what this woman is saying in this video, it don't bother me because I know the truth. We have doctors, psychologists coming out and telling us the truth. That's it. We don't need opinions. We know what it is. We've been warned. We've been told. We haven't listened. So it shouldn't really bother you for real because you know the truth. And when it comes to marriage in the Black community, the reason why the Black community is so broke is because 75% of Black people are single. Everyone knows that when it comes to this system that we were all forced into, for you to have wealth, you have to have family. A lot of these men haven't figured that out. Do you not understand that when it came to the patriarchy system, that white men were willing to date and marry their cousin to keep that money in the bloodline? But they don't even want to value marriage enough for wealth. Girl, so you fighting for that 13%. That's why the Black community is so broke. We don't have money. If you try to go to the community center, are the lights on? No. Is the community dirty? Like, is there trash on the streets and things like that? The reason why the Black community is broke is because 75% of Black people are single. I'm just the messenger, y'all. 75% male and female are single. That's why we are the brokest. So I don't know when men are going to figure that out. I hope women are starting to figure that out, that is the main reason why the Black community is broke. We are the brokest out of everybody. And I'm going to keep saying it until people get it. We are the brokest because we don't value family. We don't value marriage. That's what keeps wealth. So these other people, Asians, Indians, white people, they will go to the extreme levels to be about family, wealth, bloodline, and things like that because they value these things because they understand how the system works. It keeps the wealth flowing. We will never keep wealth flowing if 75% of Black people in the Black community are single. Then you'll hear Black men repeat this statistic to death, y'all. And it's really sad because it shows that they don't know how to read statistics. They say things like, oh, Black men marry Black women at 80%. Out of 30% of Black men who participate in marriage. That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. So you got to understand that, like, they will throw that statistic at you to you blue in the face. But what they fail to mention while reciting that statistic is that it's out of 30% of Black men who actually participate in marriage, which is not a lot. So you gotta understand, like, I value marriage because I understand the importance of legacy and wealth. I've watched my grandparents sacrifice. I've watched them struggle. I've watched them give and do. You know, I've watched my parents sacrifice, give and do. My father had to break the cycle within the bloodline to show up for his children and his family every day. And that was something that he never saw anyone do. So men will use the excuse, oh, I never had a father. That's an excuse because my own father didn't have a father, but somehow he was able to break that in the bloodline. So now his son is about to get married and he's about to start his own family. So all the sacrificing that my grandparents made, my parents made, right? His son will be able to do something with those sacrifices when he starts his own family. That's how it's supposed to go. Then all the hard work, all the tears, all the sweat, all the blood that was shed to get to this point, right? My brother is going to take that baton and carry it into his own family. That's how this is supposed to work. But Black people, we can't get anywhere within the Black family because either someone doesn't break the cycle or someone doesn't continue the work. The work has to continue down the bloodline, or else we will never get anywhere. And that's why these other cultures, these other communities, they will continue to flourish. They will continue to build. They will continue to expand. They will continue to grow because they understand that every generation has to play their part. Every generation. So again, when I think of my grandparents, their sacrifices, even my great grandparents and their sacrifices, I think about all the things that they went through to get me and my generation to this point. I value marriage in that way because of the sacrifices that they made. I will not subject myself to marriage just to be married. I'm not doing that. It has to make sense. There has to be legacy. There has to be generational wealth. Otherwise, all of their sacrificing, all of the blood, sweat, and tears was for nothing. And I failed them. That's how this works. But you got to start somewhere. Everybody's family is going to be different. Everybody's bloodline is going to be different. And my dad, he came to me and he said, no, I didn't have a father, but I knew what I needed to do for my family. I knew how important family was because I didn't have one. I knew what I needed to do as a man to be there for my family. And no, I fucked up a lot of times. He owns that. So but he still showed up though. A lot of you guys will mess up, y'all. You will mess up, and then the next thing you know, you running. Because you have an avoidment type of detachment style or attachment style. If things get hard, if things get complicated, if things don't go your way, if things are not perfect, you run. You run and you abandon in the process of doing that. And you cause destruction within your family. You cause destruction within your children, and the wealth, the legacy, where is it? It's gone. And you can only look at yourself at that point. So again, I have lost hope in the 13% because it's such a small percent. I will never tell Black women to spend the rest of your years, your life, waiting and hoping on that 13% because it's a very small percentage. And you wishing and hoping on that 13% is you living in fantasy world. You're not living in the present moment. You're not living in reality. You're just not. So you got to let that 13% go. If it happens for you, I'm happy for you. But I'm never going to tell you to just focus on that 13%. I'm going to tell you to open up your options. There's a whole world out here. Go open up your options and explore. And the same thing with men. I don't care, y'all. I really don't care. I don't. It does not matter to me because we're not getting nowhere doing it the way we've been doing it. We're not getting nowhere trying to force things. Just go do something different, and it's going to require you to step outside of your comfort zone. It is what it is. But the wealth will never flow in the Black community if we do not marry, and that is just the hard, cold truth. And Black women, because we are the culture, women, and this is what Black men don't understand. When you marry into another culture, you take on that culture. When a Black woman marries a man, that man takes on her culture. Black women actually have the ability to pump wealth back into the Black community because her kids typically will take on her culture. That's why when you see biracial children that are born to white mothers, they tend to have identity issues. They do. But when you see biracial children that are born to Black mothers, they tend to know more about themselves. They tend to have a more solid foundation when it comes to their culture. That's what it's about. So Black women have the ability to create a better community and structure by marrying out. That's why I'm really here for it. Because the wealth that you marry into, that gets pumped back into your culture because he married you. Yeah, that's how this works. So for years, decades, we've seen Black men take the wealth out the community, marry a non-Black woman, and then the wealth is now transferred over to her community. Now Black women have the ability. You are in a place in time where now you can marry out and have that wealth put back into your own culture. But you got to let go of that 13%. You got to let it go. Got to let it go. So I believe in marriage. I understand the value of marriage and legacy. Does it scare me? Yeah, because I see mommy TikTok and I be like, girl, how supportive is your spouse, sis? Because it don't sound like he that supportive. So it's just something you got to think about, you guys. Black women, you have so much power in your hands right now. And I just need you to wake up and see it. Because if you go out and you marry out, that wealth is being put into your culture. We can create certain programs. We can put in place certain protective orders. You got to go do the work, though. This can really change the game. But you got to put yourself out there. There are so many things, and we can create programs and opportunities and stuff like that by marrying out and then bringing that back to our culture, just as those non-Black women, when they were marrying Black men, that's what they did. That's what you need to do. Peep game. That's what you need to do. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And you don't have to do a lot. You just do your part. You do your part. That's it. You don't got to do a lot. You don't got to overdo it. You don't got to overextend yourself. You don't got to do so much to the point where you're being this activist warrior. No, you just do your part. That's it. That's it. And you make it about you. Okay, let me continue. I'm going to be real with y'all. It's harder for a man to go out and to prove himself in another culture when money is required. The only thing a Black woman has to do is say, let's take the worst case scenario, right? She ratchet. She's a hyena. Let's use her language. She's a Black woman that's a hyena. She could clean herself up. She can heal from her childhood trauma. She can work on herself. She can develop manners. She can learn how to adapt. Eve did it. Eve was a rapper. She seems to be doing just fine. And she has those tattoos that are placed right here. The paws. She seems to be doing just fine. But a man, he got to bring that loot. He got to bring that money. And depending on the bride, it got to be long. See, women have it easier, and I don't know if Black women see it that way. You just need to clean yourself up. That's it. You just gotta get yourself together. Okay? You gotta find yourself. You gotta focus on your core values. And once you got that down, put yourself out there, sis. Go ahead, put yourself out there. Because that's all you gotta do. But men, they gotta somehow come up with wealth while coming from a community that's broke, that doesn't have any. That's a bigger problem. Just saying. So instead of her focusing on us, she should be trying to get these men together on trying to get some money. Because I'm telling you, these other cultures, the men, the fathers that they have to impress, okay, they're not gonna go for that. They're not gonna go for no man that's unsure of himself, that doesn't have his stuff together. So I just want to see I just want to be a fly on the wall and see what these interactions are like. So let's continue.
Live from a Chantel Simone. The same men that are expected to hold up the community are the same men that are being shamed, are the same men that are being disrespected, are the same men that are being told you're not good enough, but I still expect you to do what you're supposed to do.
What? What is that? Beta.
These are the kind of things that I talk about and I bring up when I say what's the incentive for a man to get married, especially a black man. And my thing is this: as how can these women really think y'all can compete with passport bros when y'all got it way better here than y'all do any other country? And she's mentioned something that I speak on all the time when these women try to say that they can do it too. Y'all do realize that these men can get a woman in their country to be submissive to them, and they don't need to make six figures.
Nope.
They don't have to be this super duper alpha male to get submission from women in these other countries.
But you do have to be a provider. I can't stress that enough. You do have to be a provider. You guys, I don't believe that. I've never put a man down. Ever. And y'all know I'm not that type of woman. I ain't never carried myself like that. So are there women out here doing that? I'm sure, but we not all like that. And he keeps fixating on that. Again, a man that's broken with no vision, I can't deal with that. I cannot. He can't get past what he's gone through. A man that cannot get past what he has gone through, if he cannot overcome his past, if he cannot overcome his past experiences, he cannot lead you. He's blind. Toast to this. I just wanted to comment on this. She said, get a stylist, turn that urban wear to be a more conservative fit, and you can keep it sexy still. Exactly. There's a joke that's going around on TikTok. If you want to get into an interracial relationship, wear a bad wig. Have y'all seen those videos? Just get you a bad wig. Oh no, honey, your edges don't have to be laid and slayed to the side, honey. Just get you a bad wig and you get you an interracial relationship. It's a joke that's going around on TikTok right now. Get you a bad wig. Yep. Get you a bad wig. Yep. It's hilarious. I'm like, you know what? I didn't think about it like that. Get you a little bad wig. Get you a little synthetic wig. It's gotta be a little stiff, you know, and get you an interracial relationship today. I know it's funny, but it's y'all. It's true. It's 1,000% true here, sis. I know it's a joke, but like, girl, go get you a synthetic wig and work that wig, okay? I know it's a joke, but there's a lot of truth behind this joke. That's why when it comes to humor, there tends to be a lot of truth to the humor. So go get you a bad wig. It need to be stiff though. You can either get you a bad wig, wear your natural hair. You know, you don't need to lay your edges. You don't need to do none of that. You barely need to wear makeup. You don't really need to do much, you know? So I'm just being real with y'all. Like, there's some truth to what that little joke that's going around on TikTok, though. There's a lot of truth to it. Them baby hairs don't need to be laid at all.
While in your own country, you don't even want to be submissive to a man that can afford to keep you at home.
Bruh.
Make that make sense. And that's just the economic part. Because let's keep in mind, the US dollar is strong. So ladies, do y'all really think y'all gonna go to these other countries and have even more of a chance of meeting a man that makes more than you?
Get the French
Again, fear mongering, y'all. The US dollar is not strong. See what I be saying? Men can't see. They don't have foresight. They cannot see. Some of them, if they are broken, they cannot see beyond their brokenness. The US dollar is not strong at all, by far. It's at a state where it could collapse any day now. See what I be talking about, y'all? He did not just say that. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, y'all got to be careful about who you allow to influence you. And then when you do allow people to influence you, you take what is you. You can't take all of it, because if you take all of it, it's not you. You take what you need. It's like going to the grocery store. You don't go in there and try to buy up everything. You just take what you need. Okay, I could use this. This is okay. I like that. And then you leave the grocery store. When it comes to a person influencing you, you just take what you need. You don't take it all. You just take what you feel resonates with you, speaks to you, and you keep it moving. But him saying that the US dollar is strong, no, it's not. And these men need wealth in order to date these foreign women. So that this again, y'all got to stop listening to these men. They manipulate the things that they say. The US dollar is at risk for collapsing and has been since really this recession that they won't announce is a recession. But what? I don't know what he talking about. Does he watch the news?
Toast out.
Y'all already having a hard time finding that in the States. What make you think you got more of an abundance overseas?
You stupid.
You're even more likely to share him overseas than you are over here. See, I think when women talk about competing with passport bros, I think it's just another emotional response because they can't compete with the women in these other countries because the women in these other countries are born and raised to respect men and what they bring to the relationship. See, this is why sometimes I wonder, do the women in the States, especially black women, do y'all even value culture anymore? Because, once upon a time, black culture was about family. That was the foundation at one point. Somewhere along the way in the last 60 years, due to all these other movements and stuff that really had nothing to do with black people, y'all drank the Kool-Aid and now look where we at. So I think when the women that do say that, they really need to think twice, maybe do a little homework before you think about trying to compete with passport bros. And I think this is just another one of those situations where women are upset because the passport benefits the man a lot more than a woman when it comes to dating. And that's just what it is. But ain't that sad? The dating market in the US.
I'm sorry, y'all. I can't. That's why you guys, when you start to do the healing, when men or just people in general start to talk to you and it's manipulation, it becomes like, it just sounds like word vomit. It don't even, it just don't sound right. Okay, because I have to, while I brought you here today, because we can't just make all of this about these men, okay? Because I need y'all, I'm going to start getting into finances because this is huge. I feel like my tribe, I'm going to prepare you for what's to come. I'm always going to prepare you for what's to come. And there is a major, major potential here for the US dollar to collapse. So it's time. And listen, this ain't the time to panic. This is the time to stay calm and come up with some creative ways to handle if the US dollar actually collapses. Okay. So I'm going to bring up a video here real quick. There's a strong potential. It could happen, but it may not happen. It could happen, but it may not happen. We don't want it to happen, but are we preparing ourselves for if it does happen? Okay. So I'm not trying to fear monger nobody. But it is a real possibility. And a lot of people are talking about it, which the Black community should be talking about it, but we're not talking about it. We're not talking about how the housing industry is could potentially collapse because all of these corporations are out here buying these housing projects. They're investing in these housing projects and stuff like that. And how now there are laws where homeless people can't be seen or out on public property now. Government property now. But we will see. We will see. Because Farm D, I'm not disagreeing with you by any means. We're just Ooh. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm not dismissing you at all, you guys. I'm just saying, like, we got to start having real conversations and not these delusional ones that don't involve facts. It's a possibility. Not saying it will happen. I'm saying it's just a possibility, and we need to start talking about that. Because I'm tired. Oh, wait. And really, it's about the only thing that you could really do is sit down and truly go over your finances. You got to know what's coming in, what's coming out. You got to come up with an emergency savings. If you need to cut back on something so that you can have an emergency savings, this is the best time to do it. Even if it's just $5, set it aside. That's what I want to start talking about. Because these conversations, they just don't serve me no more. Okay. Here it is.
Pound sterling. The last economic reset occurred in 1944 with the creation of the Bretton Woods system. The US dollar replaced the pound sterling as the new world reserve currency and was convertible to gold at a fixed rate of $35 an ounce. Nations of the world entrusted the Federal Reserve Bank to hold their gold in return for market liquidity. This trust was good up until President de Gaulle of France pointed out that the United States was printing more money than they had in gold reserves to pay for the war in Vietnam, and in 1971 sent a warship to New York demanding their gold back. Days later, President Nixon took the world off the gold standard altogether, allowing the war machine to print endless amounts of US dollars. In 1974, the United States offers use of its war machine to Saudi Arabia in return for their oil to be sold exclusively with US dollars. This becomes known as the petrodollar and ushers in a new era of endless warfare. Andy Schechtman of Miles Franklin has been trading precious metals for over 30 years and lays out the evidence that the world is going back to a gold standard. In 2017, Germany's Bundesbank made headlines when they demanded the return of their physical gold by 2020. Within weeks, the Bank of Austria, the Bank of Hungary, the Bank of Turkey, the Czech National Bank, and the Bank of Poland all quietly began repatriating their gold as well and began buying more. These banks bought more in 2018 than they had bought in the last 60 years combined, and they doubled that the next year. In 2019, the Bank for International Settlements classifies gold as a Tier 1 reserve, rivaling the US dollar for the first time in 80 years. In 2020, the International Monetary Fund publicly announces a shift towards a new system to replace Bretton Woods. Also that year, a new major buyer suddenly appears, anonymously labeled as Other, and begins draining the COMEX and London Metals Exchange of precious metals to an extent never seen before. In August of 2021, Saudi Arabia signs a military cooperation agreement with Russia, directly challenging the US petrodollar agreement. This is immediately followed by the US military's abrupt departure from Afghanistan. In 2022, Russian banks were removed from the SWIFT system. This weaponization of the banking system inspired a massive sell-off of US treasuries, as Russia and China announce a new commodity-backed world reserve currency. Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, and Iran begin selling oil to China for bonds that are immediately convertible to gold. BRICS membership is now nearing 9% of the world population, and all these countries are dramatically expanding their gold reserves. China's Belt and Road Initiative is moving towards connecting nearly 3/4 of the world population into its centralized system with the digital Chinese yuan. And the US government is left holding a bill they can't pay and a war machine they can't afford. The US Mint is making it difficult for citizens to buy gold and silver, as if they want everyone at their mercy when it all goes to zero. Their only solution seems to be total control. This is at least one of the reasons why Elon's Twitter files are spread out like a Netflix series, to keep Americans busy while their entire life savings are swiftly turned to zero. The last economic reset occurred in 1944 with the creation of the Bretton Woods system. The US dollar replaced.
Y'all see why I'm like, I don't want to be tapped into the conversations that we were having before, because we are in a era of reconstruction. Do you not understand we're in a historic time frame? Farm D, you mentioned that buying a house and getting married, that's how you create wealth. That's changing, because a lot of these businesses, these bigger corporations are buying out or buying first-time homes. They really don't want us to be owners anymore. They don't. They want us to be renters now. And if you know anything about the renters, the housing industry right now, rent is high. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, and everything's a luxury apartment. Everything's luxury, but it's small. So you guys, it's time for us to elevate and start moving on to other conversations, because there's a lot of stuff going on around us. And this man that was in the video that I showed you guys, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you even talking about? So we are in a reconstruction area, meaning even the housing market is changing. All these industries are changing, and they're changing around us, but we're so distracted by these stupid conversations. We're so distracted by celebrity gossip. We're just very distracted. And it's like all of these changes are happening around us. Even when it comes to the medical industry, I've seen so many doctors, nurses leave the medical industry and get into tech because they get paid more and their hours are flexible. We need to start having real conversations. But these conversations, y'all, it don't serve no purpose. And the US dollar is at stake for collapse. It is. And I don't know. I have this weird feeling that a lot of these foreign countries are kind of working against us, because the US is finally in a position of weakness, and we don't really have that many options. And nobody's really talking about that. Every industry right now is weak. So the Southwest situation, the airline situation that happened with the whole Buffalo winter storm, you know, Southwest and some other airlines blame the Buffalo winter storm, but in reality it's because they were short-staffed and their system that they used was outdated. So I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is that I'm not really against these collapses happening. I'm not, because if the system collapses, we can rebuild, we can restructure from the ground up and create a better system, right? And I think that may happen. But what I don't need is people freaking out and doing stupid things like robbing people, unaliving people, and things like that. The healthcare system is a mess globally too. It's a mess. So I'm like, well, maybe the medical system should collapse. The healthcare system should collapse, because it's not a good system. It's just not. It's outdated. The school system, outdated. A lot of these systems are outdated. And the reason why these systems are outdated is because we're in a new world. I keep trying to tell people that. A lot of people, I've been telling y'all this since last year and the year before that. When the pandemic hit, the world was never going back the same. We are in a new world. So we're in this transition period where all of these systems are at risk for collapsing, which I don't feel like is necessarily a bad thing. I don't, because we can rebuild, but I just don't need people freaking out. I don't need people withdrawing large sums of money out of their bank account. And then when you do that, the US dollar collapsed. And so it's not worth anything. It's like paper now. You don't want to do that. So I'm going to need everybody to remain calm. Okay. You just need to get your house in order. This ain't the time to be spending crazy. This ain't the time to be out here just wasting time, wasting money and stuff like that. This is the time to get your house in order, get yourself together, get your mind prepared for what's to come, and to stay grounded, because chaos is coming. And when chaos comes, people tend to freak out, and we just don't need that. And we need the stable people to help the collective remain stable, okay, as we go through this transition. So that's my take on it so far, and I want to start talking about this. Yeah, like everything needs to catch up to the 21st century. And I think 2023 is the year to do that. This is a great time to invest in gold. It is. This is a great time to invest in gold, because it's almost like with this reconstruction, we're going back to old practices as well. Like old practices are coming back up to the surface. So I'm just saying, you guys, log out of the gossip. Listen, I can be worldly, but I also got to know what's going on. Find balance, okay? Find balance. Find balance. Okay, you just gotta find balance. No, they don't want us to own property anymore, which is crazy. And another thing, you guys, there's a wealth transfer that's currently happening. I don't know if you guys are picking up on that as well. And so it's almost like they're trying to get rid of the middle class completely. And there's like this wealth transfer. So stay tapped in. Are owned by big Chinese corporations. Yes, residential properties in Toronto are owned by big Chinese corporations. The rent they charge in my city is crazy. That's exactly what they're doing. And it's almost like the wealthy is trying to corner the wealth, because think about it. Within the last few years, the wealth was being transferred to influencers, a lot of business owners and stuff like that. They didn't like that. They did not like that at all. And you know, when Black people start making and seeing and touching real money, that, you know, that's a problem globally. It's an issue. They don't like that. So I do. It's a lot going on, y'all. And these conversations are a waste of time, because there are 1,000 things I can think of that we need to start discussing to prepare our community that is already not the strongest for what's ahead. That's all I'm saying. But I'm not really against the systems collapsing. I'm not against it. I'm just afraid of how people are going to react. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of people not reacting well. Like, okay, so prime example was I was on TikTok and Bank of America, there were people that couldn't cash their checks. Or if they cashed the check, it got lost. Like one lady, she cashed a $20,000 check and it wasn't in her bank account, and she knows that she cashed it, and she had to file a fraudulent, some type of fraud. I don't even know what it would be called in the banking world or in banking terms, but basically there was fraud that was done against her after cashing the check, and Bank of America said, well, we don't know what happened to it. And she like, how y'all lose $20,000? How? Then there was another man, another woman whose husband got paid, and he was supposed to receive his deposit, but he never got it. And her husband calls the bank to see, well, where's the deposit? They said that, it was canceled. And she's like, well, how did it get canceled? She calls his employer, he calls the employer to check, like, well, what happened to my deposit? They said the bank stopped it. Because the bank don't have the money, y'all. I'm like, what? Then I seen another video. Bank of America, y'all. If you banking with Bank of America, watch them, because I don't think they got it. I don't think they don't have a lot of money right now. I don't. So you got to be careful about that. And this is what I'm saying, get your house in order, get your finances together, because you need to see your transactions. You need to make sure your deposits are coming in, because a lot of these banks are getting away with losing people's money. Banks are losing people's money, y'all. That's a problem. So this is what we need to be talking about. Okay, we need to be talking about these things, because these things actually affect us on a daily basis, and it affects our livelihood. It can affect our children. It can affect how we sleep, where we're sleeping, if we're homeless or not. So Listen. Woo, I gotta calm down. Okay. So, y'all, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I need y'all to start tapping in. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm a medical school student, and you're right. The healthcare system needs to collapse. Everyone's on strike. Doctors want to ununionize. I can see that. I've been watching some content on YouTube from people all over the world that are leaving the healthcare, and I'm like, well, I can't even really be mad at them because they're working these long hours, you guys. They're not able to see their family. They're not even able to take care of themselves. I saw an ICU nurse. She worked a 14-hour shift, and she can barely afford to pay her bills. And I'm like, how are you an ICU nurse working 14-hour shifts and you can barely afford to pay your bills? That's a problem. I don't think teachers are getting paid enough. I don't think people in the medical field are getting paid enough. And it's just there's a lot going on. There's a lot. No, this is not financial advice. We just having a conversation, you guys. This is not financial advice. Thank you, Farm, for that. But I need you to start reading and looking into these things so you know what's going on around you, because you don't want to just pop up one day and your deposit is not in your account and your employer paid you, but your bank stopped it from going into your account. That's a problem, y'all. That's a problem. That is a major problem. So we got to start looking into these things and bringing and talking about these things so that people can be aware of what's going on right now, because there's a lot going on. Bank of America and Wells Fargo. So far, Lisa, I've only seen issues with Bank of America. I haven't heard anything from Wells Fargo, but I'll start to look out for that too. Okay, let's continue with this because I'm almost done.
Women have all the leverage and power, and it's doing nothing but working against them. So when men see that, we adjust, aka getting your passport. Now the women are trying to follow men that are on that same trend.
How dare you?
Because deep down, y'all know those are the guys that are good for you. Problem is, you wasted your 20s overlooking those guys. You wasted your 20s finessing those guys. You wasted your 20s putting those guys in the friend zone. Now guys are waking up. It's too late. I think it's too late. But again, y'all, ladies, y'all really need to think twice about that before y'all even consider that, because I'm telling you that very highly unlikely is going to work for you. Most women, American women, regardless of race, y'all ain't going to be able to do that. Y'all got it a lot better here. Y'all ain't gonna be able to get away with half of what y'all get away with in these other countries. Think about that. All right, if you're new to the platform, please subscribe. OGs, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure y'all hitting that bell notification. That way y'all know what I'm uploading. And hit the like button because it helps with the algorithm and helps me reach a broader audience. To the next video, y'all. Deuces.
Y'all, the last thing we need right now is fear mongering. Okay, we just don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. To any Black person that's out here, you changing things in your bloodline, you getting your passport, you traveling, you meeting people, you're entering other cultures and things like that. I'm happy for you, male or female. Seriously. You doing what makes you happy, and a lot of people within your family don't. And a lot of them are either bitter about it, they're not happy within their situation or circumstances, but you had the guts to actually do it. So I'm happy for you, because not a lot of people are out here doing that. But honestly, you guys, like I said, I'm not really concerned about passport bros, what they doing, what they got going on. I wish them well. I really do. And I've been telling y'all that. I don't see the problem with that. I don't. I think it's great. I think Black women need to focus on themselves. And like I said, polish yourself up, work on yourself, then put yourself out there. because you have a better shot at having wealth and bringing it back to your culture, similar to how non-Black women do it. But you got to put yourself outside of that 13% to have a real shot. If you are able to get the 13%, sis, I'm happy for you. I just wouldn't risk your whole life, your future on 13%. It just does not make sense to me. So that's really all that I have for today's video, you guys. Please give the video a thumbs up. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave this video up or not. If you would like for me to leave it up, I'll leave it up. I just don't want no I don't want no drama, no mess. So be nice, you know, state your opinion, speak your truth, right? But you don't have to throw the insults. You don't have to throw the insult. That's it. Just if you like this, pick this B, just take the B out. This woman, I don't necessarily agree with her because, and then you just go into the it, or this man, I don't really agree, and you lay it on them thick, but you just don't throw the insults. Just leave the name calling out of it, the shadiness. Just get to it. When you speak truth and you just keep it at that, people have no choice but to listen to that because you didn't insult them, you didn't shade them, you didn't do any of that. You kept it real with them. So just do that, okay? I love you guys. Please give this video a thumbs up. And I'm going to try to do more of these lunch break talks because, I don't know, I just want to come to y'all during the day and to help you guys get through your work week and stuff like that. I'm going to do a Patreon video because I'm not going to say what I'm going to talk about on Patreon because we're about to get real controversial on Patreon. We're going to get into some conspiracy theories. And the reason why I want to get into them is because I mean, a lot of conspiracy theories in 2022 actually became true because somehow it ended up on the news. I'm like, how conspiracy theories, how are they showing up on the news? Whenever you look into them, it'll say, in which I don't trust Google, by the way, it'll say false statement, false statement, false statement. But then if you go on duck.com, it tell you something different. Oh, we're going to have to get into it. So I will definitely be on Patreon. I will not make that content public because again, it's conspiracy theories, and YouTube, they're very strict about that. So on that note, you guys, I'm going to end the live. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next one.